Hi, I'm Ed again, and this is Atheist Bird with No Cage, my YouTube channel. And as often is the case, I'm kind of a little bit between ideas, but I'm going to start by recounting a little story I heard. A caller into my favorite radio or TV show out of that you heard me talk about before. It comes out of Austin, Texas. It's called Atheist Experience. A caller into the show said he had a story to tell them that would explain how God thinks and how God works. So he started the story, and it was very shotgun. I'm going to break it down a little bit. He said there was a time in his life when he was young. I'm assuming he was listening to the story at first, I was assuming that he was talking about the time of puberty. It turned out he was talking about quite a bit later than that in life. But anyway, when pressed, to get to the point of the story, he said, well, and the guy he was kind of laughing this nervous laugh and stuff, and he said, but he knew this girl, known her for a long time, and so I guess she was very attractive and everything, and he wanted desperately to see her naked. That's the way he put it. So what he did, and I found this a bit of a shock, he started to pray. He prayed to God, and he made the point of being, with all honesty and sincerity, the most sincere praying he had ever done in his life, prayed to God to see this girl naked. Well, first off, I found that a little bit strange. I'm sure I've been in that position where I like the idea of seeing a woman naked, and I have seen a lot of them naked, but I never thought of praying to God for it. But anyway, he did that, and then he went to her house at night and basically peeked in the window, I guess, and did indeed see this woman naked. Ergo, he didn't say that, but obviously God had answered his prayer. Now, he didn't mention anything about how this made him feel or anything like that, but the main part of the story, it seemed, was he was an athlete, he was a runner, and his father took him and his brother to this gym for strength training. And at this gym, there was a man, a tall, skinny, older man that obviously turned out to be a pervert at best. I mean, originally I thought he was a pedophile, but as it turns out, the guy telling the story was in his early 20s when this happened. So the guy is just a gay man that liked young guys, I guess. So he tells, the story goes on that this Bill was the name of this gay guy who was a little bit of a pervert. And this gay guy, Bill, was always trying to see them without their clothes on. And the short of it is, eventually, Bill came in upon them, and the storyteller was naked, and Bill indeed saw him naked. And he says, I knew that Bill had saw me naked. Made me feel raped. So at this point, Matt Dillahunty and the co-host Jenna were concerned for this guy. I mean, he needs a therapist, by the sounds of it, and they were gently suggesting that he needed to talk to somebody about this. But the whole thing was that this guy had phoned to show that this proved who God was and how God worked. So it looked like his story was, in fact, on questioning, he agreed that God had answered his prayer for him to see this naked woman, naked girl. Then God decided to punish him by letting a gay man see him naked. And as the guy said, I felt raped, whatever. It was a very bad experience. And I was struggling to put it all together. And I mean, as Matt Dillahunt, he said, what the hell kind of a God do you believe in that would, first of all, fulfill this wish to see a naked woman? And interestingly enough, it didn't look to me like God had much to do with it. The guy actually went to the girl's house at night and peeked in the window. What the hell does God have to do with that? Then the second part of it is, they go in a gym and this pervert looks at them. I don't know, he didn't say if anything more happened, and he felt raped. And this is his explanation of how God is showing him what was wrong with him looking at this naked girl. I mean, the guy needs a therapist. First of all, thinking that God helped him arrange this so he could see this naked girl, and then punished him for looking at a naked girl, punished him by having a homosexual, possibly perverted kind of guy, see him naked. And that was the punishment. Lucy, I couldn't get it together at all. When I just recently watched a replay of that video, that Atheist Experience video with the guy telling this story. So I really wanted to tell that, and I think this guy he's in need of some therapy. He needs some help. He sounded like he was hurting because he was, giggling at weird times and stuff like that, and struggling to even. I haven't got time to expound on it much in this video, but the thing that I've been struggling with most lately, I did this one on, the God is imaginary thing, and it seems to me when I'm talking to religious folks, the disconnect is that the religious person talks about believing things that I can't believe, and so we get to, I asked my friend, the preacher, do you actually believe that in the New Testament this guy Jesus went, you never know with, how the story's going, whether he was supposed to be only a man, Jesus. That's how come he could suffer on the cross on the cross. Yeah, that was a good one. Because he was only a man, and there go the suffering, and all that would be real. Or he was partly God. But anyway, do you believe that he could actually walk on water? Another little bit of a shotgun with the same idea. Jen Peoples, on another Atheist Experience that I watch, mentioned this research they did on children, and the difference between children who were brought up in a religious setting, these are very young children, and children who were brought up in a secular setting. And what they discovered was the so-called religious children had a difficult time, in fact, couldn't differentiate between cartoon characters being real or being imaginary. where other kids of the same age who had not been taught religious stories as children had no trouble understanding the difference. That, this one story was true and the other story was, no, it was make-believe, the cartoon. So there's something, I want to explain or explore that idea intellectually a little bit more, but it seems that even adults that I talk to, that problem of them not having a clear line between what's imaginary and what's real is a big part of the problem, and why the discussions I have with them are so difficult. That, my friend the pastor, when I asked him, do you think that it's reasonable that Eve was made out of a rib from Adam's body, and how that happened and everything? And usually he just says, yes, it's in the Bible and it's real. And she talked to a serpent and the serpent talked back, yes, it's real. And Jesus walked on water and performed the miracle, brought people back to life. And often he just says, yes, they're real. And that's the disconnect. I'm like, how can you believe that's real? But I think it's exactly what happened that to him in his case. He was raised in religion, and that maybe that blurring of the lines between what is real and what is imaginary happened to him, and it's never gone away. That's what it feels like. I hope, I don't mean that to sound like an accusation really, but maybe an explanation of why that he can believe something that seems to me just totally ridiculous and not have any trouble with it. I didn't mention the date, and I don't know what the date is. It's about February the
17th.
17th? Mm-hmm. February the 17th, 2020. February 17th. It's getting close to Grapefruit League time. We'll be watching some baseball soon. Anyway, those ideas, I know there was shotgunning from the young guy that was telling the story online about, looking at a naked woman, God helping him to see a naked woman and then punish him by maybe a gay pervert seeing him naked. And then the overriding that with the thing that I'm struggling with and trying to understand is the idea and the difference in maybe what a religious person says when they say they believe something, and maybe what I mean when I say I believe something, it means I'm convinced by evidence and or whatever, evidence of some kind. The religious person, they seem to say that we choose what we believe, and I don't see it that way at all. I have no belief in a God, and if somebody says, why do you choose not to believe in God? I don't choose, it's just I don't believe in a God. So sorry that there's a little bit of a mixture of things there, but anyway, my name is Ed again, and as we said, this February, what did we say, 17th?
17th.
2020, and see you again in the next one, probably next week or so. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks.